recognize them when they pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go back and edit this if we mess up.
Okay, sure. Today's the 8th.
My name is wpolmear. This is an interview on March 8th about basically the type of business is small for-profit education, basically.
Yeah, my name is Raymond Ziana. I've been in the proprietary education industry for about 25 years now.
So, what made you decide to start UMA?
Well, it wasn't that I didn't start it. Actually, what I did was it was an investment group that had purchased it, and they hired me to grow it for an equity position at some point down the road. It was kind of a sweat equity. I don't know if you're familiar with that terminology, but you don't have to put any cash in. You put in work, and then you get equity based on the outcomes, basically, and the success that you have with the organization. You build equity points based on that. So I've been in this business for a long time, and there are two roads to go. You know, you can go down the road where you work for someone for your whole life, and you get capped out on the financial rewards in terms of you get a certain bonus every year if the company allows for that. You get a certain salary every year. Everything's stable and everything is static, and a lot of people like that. That's security for them and it's comforting for them. And then the other route is you can take some chances, and you can roll the dice in some situations where other companies weren't successful, take over their company and try to grow it. And that's really the route that I prefer to take, because I feel at the end there's a greater reward, at least financially. There's also a greater reward, in my opinion, professionally, because to see something start off from literally nothing to a burgeoning organization and know that I was the one responsible for putting the resources together to make that happen. When I mean resources, I mean people. Any organization in terms of success is going to be contingent on whether or not the people that you put in the positions that are critical to your business are well versed in the intricacies of that particular function and can help that company to grow. If you don't have the right people in place, no matter what your business plan is, no matter how much money you have, your chances of failure are pretty high. So the key to my success over the years has been finding the right people to do the right jobs, setting metrics in place so that they know what they're shooting for in terms of outcomes and goals, and then mentoring them and working with them to help achieve those goals. The campus director and the campus president, or the president of any organization, really isn't really responsible for some of the detailed stuff. In other words, in education, for example, you have to enroll students, you have to financially package the students, you've got to then train the students, and when they're done, you've got to place the students. Well, the president doesn't do really any of those things on a day-to-day basis, but they make it possible for the people they hire to be able to be successful doing those things. That's what makes the school successful. The leadership comes from guidance, mentoring, setting objectives and goals, holding people accountable for those goals, not in a draconian way, as was done back in the 1940s and 50s, but more in a mentoring, let's team approach, congealing your team, having everybody focus and believe in the mission that you've set up as a leader. You have to have a lot of buy-in to that from the staff that work for you, the professionals that work with you. And if you don't have all of that, everybody's oaring the boat in a different direction and you're never going to get anywhere. So setting the vision, setting up metrics, outcome result-oriented kind of organization where people are held accountable, they're encouraged to promote and to move up within the organization. It's very important too. So all of those things come together to help the resources that you put in place feel good about what they're doing, feel a part of what they're doing, and get excited about what they're doing. And that's the key to success, and for me personally, in the organizations that I've been responsible for.
Would you say that rewarding feeling has been an inspiration to go ahead and start to try to grow the company?
Yeah, it is. For me, that's part of it. I mean, obviously the financial rewards are nice, but what really keeps you going every single day is to watch the growth of the organization and watch the growth of the people within the organization that you are bringing through, the process.
Hmm. How much time planning would you say originally starting out when you first decided to start growing the company?
Well, in the beginning too, and I should probably backtrack a little bit because in the beginning, really, the president is responsible for a lot of those minutia things that I was talking about earlier because obviously you can't afford a lot. You've got to be very cost conscious in the beginning when you're starting up any organization. You can't just start writing checks you don't have. If you get a line of credit, you've got to hold on to that line of credit as long as humanly possible until you start bringing enough revenue to bring you to the black. You've got to be able to project when will that be. So you've got to put together a stringent budget with projections for, in this case, starts and drops within every month of the first year, let's say, to see, okay, now if I do this many starts and I drop this many students every single month, when am I going to have enough revenue to bring the company from red to black? And until that red to black transition happens, you are pretty much, one on paper hanger. I mean, you're jack of all trades, a master of none. You're the one that's trying to get it all done. And as you grow, you can start adding more administrative support. The sales staff is the most important part, in my opinion, of any organization because the sales staff actually is your first impression that people have of you as your sales staff. They've got to be professional. They've got to be encouraging and motivating. And in career education, it's taken a lot of damage over the last maybe 5-6 years with all kinds of people saying, well, we're encouraging students to go into debt and pushing them and being very aggressive with them. And what I don't think a lot of people understand about this industry, and I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, but is the fact that the kind of student that usually goes to career colleges are the kind of students that are not always well suited for traditional education. So they need that extra encouragement. They need that extra guidance. They need that extra support. And to make sure you have admissions representatives and the sales staff that can give that sense of comfort to that student is very important. So in this business, as in I think almost any business, the sales staff is the key. So the first thing you start to bring in, even before you're in the black, clearly you should start to bring in decent sales stuff. Everything else pretty much will wait, other than instructors that you need for the basic classes and that kind of stuff. But you do bare minimum until you start to get some cash.
Quickly again, you just go through how you obtained the startup capital, basically.
Well, it came from an investment company. It was an equity firm that a conglomerate of people, 3 or 4 people actually, I think, of people that put together a little nest egg. They decided they wanted to get into the proprietary education space. So that's how I got it. I met the people that were responsible for doing that through an interview process, and networking.
Could you briefly explain how you were advertising or promoting the business early on, if even so?
Well, advertising for this business, as in any business, it's all about target marketing. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find out where your demographic lives, and you want to focus a lot of your advertising into that particular area. So we went off. We did television. Of course, in the beginning, we found out that television was not a good investment because we didn't have a lot of capital. So we could only put a little pittance of money in television, and our competitors were spending 4 or 5 times what we were spending on television, and our commercials were like, a spot of dust in a windstorm. They just were not even significant. So we decided to pull our money out of TV. We did a lot of guerrilla marketing. We did a lot of networking with different organizations that would support our students. Like, for example, insurance billing and coding was one of our programs. So we became members of the American Association of Professional Coders, and we got the word out about our program through that. We did a lot of print advertising because print is very reasonable. Um, we did a lot of spreading flyers around. We do the representatives do ask for PDLs every time they go into a restaurant or they go into a convenience store or they go into anywhere they see somebody that seems like they may benefit from furthering their education. They'll talk to them about the school right then and there. This kind of guerrilla marketing is very reasonable in terms of pricing. Print advertising is very reasonable in pricing, so that was what we started off with. And as we started to grow, when I told you we started to get into the black, then we started with really good TV. Spent a lot of money on television, but in the beginning we didn't do that. We would add, when we got to the back, we added billboards. We added, some nice PR kind of marketing things that helped just get our name out there. But in the beginning, like I said, guerrilla and TV and print were our first successful ventures. We tried TV, and we just didn't have the money to compete with our competitors.
How do you select potential employees that you know you will trust?
Well, trust is something that's earned. You'll find over time. You hire somebody that you feel has the personality and the persona that you need for them in order to be successful in the job you're hiring them for. And then from there, once they start the job, you determine whether or not they're loyal or trustworthy. Anybody can interview. Just like they say about dating. If you're dating a romantic relationship, you're not really dating that person. You're dating their representative. The same thing applies when you're interviewing somebody. They're on their best behavior. They're only going to give you references that are going to speak highly of them. They're not going to tell you to call somebody that doesn't like them. So you're not really getting an accurate picture. You can just kind of assess their personality. Many employers now are giving personality examinations. I'm not sure if I really believe in that. Of course, I'm a little old-fashioned. I believe in getting a good sense of who the person is sitting across from me and whether or not I think they have the personality to be successful in the job that I'm trying to hire them for.
If you had to pick the single most important quality in a person that you would potentially hire, what quality do you think that would be?
Strong work ethic and good, strong core values.
Were you, or about how long do you think, did it take long to train these employees, or is it relatively quick?
Well, every position, like admissions, is, especially in this industry, is a little more complicated because there's certain things you can say and certain things you can't say.
Right.
And so you've got to be careful as an admissions representative when you're talking to a prospective student so that we don't violate any federal regulations. But generally speaking, every job, if you want someone to do well, is going to require training. And, in admissions or in financial aid or anything else, it's going to take continued training. It's not like, okay, well, I've spent 2 weeks on this person, I can walk away from them, I don't have to worry about them anymore. We're constantly monitoring metrics for admissions, for education, for financial aid, and we're making sure that the expectations are being met. If they're not, that means more training is required. I'm not a big shoot from the hip, let's get rid of them kind of person, generally speaking. If I feel someone's really trying and their metrics aren't where they're supposed to be, then, I take some responsibility for that and trying to get them where they need to be. When you hire somebody, it's a big investment of your resources. You've got them in an office that you're paying rent on. You're paying them money, and they're not really able in the beginning to do a job. So they're not producing anything for you, really, in the beginning. So you've got, considerable investment in this person, and you don't want 3 months later for you to go, okay, well, I'm just tired. Let's try something new, because that's a whole new investment again, and you got to come up with extra cash. So it's more cost effective to try to make, the resource that you do have effective.
Right.
So to answer your questions, training is not just a time frame. Initial training for job training is usually 2 weeks to a month, depending on the position. But it's OJT kind of stuff. So they're in the trenches doing it and learning and doing it and learning, and you're training them as you go. But training is ongoing. And even in proprietary education, continuing education for instructors is a required component of their employment. So they have to have a certain amount of CEUs in order to, stay employed with you because of regulatory body requirements.
What is the best advice you can give someone starting out, either with their own business or someone in your position who's given the capital to grow the business?
Well, never be penny wise, pound foolish, but always keep an eye on the dollar. If there's a cheaper way to do it just as effectively, you need to find that. The biggest thing that kills most entrepreneurs is they run out of money before they're able to get their business successful. And even if you have an equity firm that's giving you money, they don't just give you money. You know what I mean? You've got to explain to them why you need that money, what you're going to use it for, and how it's going to benefit them financially. What's your return on investment? They're not going to say, okay, well, Ray's a good guy. We're just going to write him a check. Oh, Ray says he needs 20 grand. Let's just give him a check. That's not how it works. If you have a budget, you've got to meet. The equity firm, you present to it, the budget to them every month. It could be at the very beginning, it's every month. I was doing it every single month, a budget to show where we were. It was a cash budget, not a revenue budget. It wasn't an accrual budget. It was a cash budget. And they were pushing every single month. All right, so I don't see black ink here yet. What's going on? I can't keep writing you checks, right? You need to start making this thing profitable, or at least break even. And generally speaking, it takes me about 6 months to get a company in the black. That's been my track record.
Well, thank you very much, Ray.
Sure.
It's been much appreciated.
Sure, I'm glad to help.
Should be it.
Okay.